This is part 3 of setting up OpenSquiggly on Google Cloud. In the first video, we created our Google Cloud VM instance. In the second video, we downloaded the setup script and ran it. Everything's up and running now. And now I just want to hit this service with the web browser and create a database or create a user and test it out a little bit. All right, so what we want is the external IP address, so I go and copy that to the clipboard and open up a tab and hit this. And it should come up with the login screen. That's good. If you get here, this is a good sign. If you don't get, if the OpenSquiggly service doesn't start, it actually has a fallback page where it will, if it has any errors in the app settings.json file or anything like that, then it will give you a fallback screen where it will tell you what the problem is. So it's always a good sign if you get to this login screen. All right, so we're going to create a new account. Invitation code is gander shell. All right, and I'll go ahead and create an account. I won't show that. You do want to make note of your login ID as what you're going to use to log in with. You do not log in with your email address. You log in with your login ID. Okay. All right, I've created an account and I'm going to sign in. And you get a blank, empty home page. All right, that's as per usual. And we're going to test out our home page editing. You can use this like a wiki, so I'm just going to type in some content here. Here is my home page. All right, and go back into view mode there. That just proves that I can I can use OpenSquiggly like a wiki. So I'm internally authoring content. But of course, the real point of OpenSquiggly is that you can attach to external source code and external repositories. So we're going to do that next. I'm going to go in. I always like to connect to my own OpenSquiggly source code. And so I'm going to go, since this is a private repository I want to connect to, I'm going to add in the personal access token that allows me to get to my Azure DevOps account. And so the name of the external connections OpenSquiggly, and the organization name is, this is not the same as the name of your external connection. This is important actually, that it has to match the name of the organization inside your Azure DevOps account that you're trying to connect to. All right, so obviously for you would connect to your own, whether it was Azure DevOps, Bitbucket, GitHub, or GitLab, and then whatever personal access token you had for that, and whatever the name of you wanted to name your account. So in my case, it's OpenSquiggly, but for you, it would be different. All right, and I'm going to get my personal access token. All right, so this is the personal access token that I've used, that I've created inside Azure DevOps, which then gives authorization to external systems to connect and attach to private repositories in that account. All right, so I'm going to save that. All right, that looks good. Now I'm going to go to my mount points, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, I'm going to call this OpenSquiggly source code, and I'm going to attach to the name of the project is OpenSquiggly. These are relevant, okay. Again, this is my account. For you, you'll be attaching to whatever your account is. Now, Azure DevOps has a 3-tiered organizational system where you have your organization. Underneath the organization, you can have one or more projects, and then underneath the project, you have one or more repositories, which is why you can put in all 3 of these. You could even override the organization name if you want. Now, in the other 3 cases of Bitbucket, GitHub, and GitLab, it's only a 2-tiered organizational system where there's just the account name and then the repository or project name. So it's just a little bit different for Azure DevOps. Each one's a little bit different in the naming conventions and everything like that. Anyway, so I'm just going to save this. Okay, and that should go ahead and clone the repository. All right, it takes just a few seconds, and now it's ready. And now what I can do is I want to graft that mount point into my page tree. So I want to call this, I want to call my mapped page, call it full source, right? And I'm going to add that. So I'm mapping this to the Open Squiggly source code, and slash is the root path, which means I'm going to get everything. All right. And there it's created it. All right. So we see that I now have access to, all of the Open Squiggly source code. All right. That looks good. And now what I want, notice that there's this docs directory under here, but this is the sort of the source level view of the docs, the raw low level view. What I want is a formatted view of the documentation, the human readable formatted view of the documentation, not just for the individual markdown files, but for the whole directory tree is what we're talking about here. All right, and so we have a way to do that in Open Squiggly. And what I can do is go back to my mount points, and I'm going to add another mount point. This time what I'm going to say is reuse an existing repository, and I want to reuse that first one that I cloned. And this time I'm going to call it Open Squiggly documentation. And instead of starting at slash, I want to start at /doc. So I just want to limit the view to only the docs folder, and the tree format type that I want this time is the Open Squiggly Simplified Document Tree Formatter, which is going to give me that human readable view. Save that, and that may take a minute or two, but it looks good there. That should be ready to go. And now I can also graft that in to my document tree. Right, I'll call it documentation. Right there. So now I've got full source and I've got documentation. All right. And now let's do one more. What I like to do is, let's say I want to go out to GitHub and get the React repository. All right. And here's that library. And I want to copy the cloning URL to the clipboard, and I'm going to come back into my mount points. I'm going to create another mount point. This time I'm going to use the quick add, where I can just do that and automatically, oh yeah. All right, anyways, normally it would allow me to automatically create the map page, but all right, I'll save and close that. It's going to clone it. That may take a minute longer because it's a little bit bigger repo. All right, there, that's done. And now let's also add that. All right, there. So now I got that repository cloned in. So now notice that, I'm starting to curate content. Imagine a large organization's got projects all over the place, and maybe some of them are in GitHub, some are in GitLab, some are in Bitbucket, some are in Azure DevOps, some of them are in private, Git repositories that aren't one of those four. And I've got a smattering of stuff all over the organization I want to connect to. This is what Open Squiggly is about, this curation environment that allows me to bring everything together. All right. Now I can start to organize my document tree and sort of customize it how I want. So the way I like to do it, I'm going to say add sibling above here. I'm going to create a page called Open Squiggly, and then I'm going to drop my documentation and my source code into my Open Squiggly folder. See, so now I've got a nice view for, this would be my main project that I'm working on most of the time. I can tuck everything away, and I can get to my documentation, and I can get to my source code, and we'll do some searching here in a minute. And then what I like to do is then say add sibling below, and let's call this other repositories. All right, and then let's put our React one underneath there. See, so now you can imagine if you had a whole bunch of other repositories like dependencies and things like that, they could be tucked away here. So you can organize this however you want. All right, and then you can use this as an internal wiki or note-taking system. So what I would typically do here is, let's say, add sibling above. I would say archived work. So this would be where I could create I usually have a current work folder and then an archived work folder. And then when I'm done working on something in current work, then I copy it up into archived work. All right, so these could be bugs or user stories, notes and other links and things like that for when I'm working on bugs and user stories. I would put them into my current work folder, and then when I was done, I would drag them up into my archived work. That's generally how I like to do it. But, you can do it however you want. It's a lot of flexibility in OpenSquiggly, all right? And then some other ideas that you might want to do is say add sibling below, and maybe you're going to have some notebooks, all right? I like to keep a daily log of all of my work, so maybe I do daily logs. Right. Another idea is, let's say, add sibling above. Let's say I want a file cabinet. It's a general place to put a lot of different filing needs. All right. And so you kind of get the general idea there of how you can start to curate and organize things. All right. Now let's just do one quick test of our Elasticsearch install and make sure that we can do some searching. So let's say I want to search for task action result, right? And there. So I'm getting some results that are coming back. I can actually do regular expression searching here. So let's say I want to search for that, followed by any number of spaces, followed by 4, followed by read, followed by 4. All right. And so now see how the hit down here is it's expanding that regular expression searching. And we actually use Elasticsearch in a special way to do fast index regular expression searching. All right, and you can also do other things. I won't cover all the options here. We're just doing a quick test to prove that this works on Google. But you can say, like, I want to filter, I only want files that have page in them or something like that, right? And then I want to subtract out any files that have a snippet in them. See, so you can have a lot of filtering options. You can filter by your repo name. You can filter. You have a ton of different options. We have this all documented on our website. Again, this is just a quick test to prove that it's working on Google. But there you have it. So you've got your ingestion, your curation, your document tree, grafting documents. You've got your source code, your formatted documentation, and then your searching. Okay, that's the general idea of what OpenSquiggly is all about. Thank you for watching.